Hey aficionados, welcome back to the Cigar Table, brought to you by TDM Cigars, where each legacy is rolled one cigar at a time. This is Alex, the owner and operator of TDM Cigars. We've got my general manager here, Jesse. We're going to be talking about some common myths between fresh rolled cigars, rested cigars, and very well aged cigars. So just a kind of a recap, we talked about fresh cigars in our last episode. We actually smoked a couple fresh ones. But before we get into that, how you doing, bud?
Good.
Good?
Mm-hmm.
Life treating you good?
Yeah.
Yeah? Living the dream?
One nightmare at a time.
One nightmare at a time. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about what time really does to a cigar, right? So we smoked the fresh cigar the last episode. What'd you think about it? It was your first time.
It was my first time smoking a very fresh cigar. Like it's different. Like going from always having like the store like brick and mortar cigars to something freshly made
Right off the table.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's different. And I feel like a lot of people that wouldn't wouldn't know what goes into it and the difference that we're going to be getting into here about like having it fresh, rested, or aged. They'd probably pick it up and be like, "This isn't good," but that's because they don't understand it.
Okay.
So like with smoking that, it was a little bit tighter of a draw, but like you said, it's still very humidified. Like the leaves are still overly humidified.
Right,
so
everything's wet.
Swollen.
Yeah.
And over time, it'll all like come back together. It'll not loosen up, but everything will move itself into place to get a better draw.
Right. When we'll talk about that as the humidity will actually start to even itself out.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we smoking today?
We have Rocky Patel Emerald.
Toro. This is the box pressed. What do you think of Rocky? I like Rocky Patel stuff.
I love Rocky Patels. They're pretty good.
So every year I've gone to the New England Cigar Expo. He's been there, and I'm gonna tell you, the man's a genius.
Yeah.
Yeah, he started out as
I'm excited to go this year.
Oh my God, dude! He started out as an entertainment lawyer.
Really?
Oh yeah. And then he got into cigars and he started his own factory, and he literally worked from the bottom up. He is very hands-on. I mean, the portfolio of a Rocky Patel is like pages and pages long on just Rocky Patel stuff. So, all right. So in this episode, we're actually going to break down what actually happens to a cigar over time, from freshly rolled to properly rested to extremely long-term aged. And what does it do? What does it do to the moisture? What does it do to the flavor? I can tell you right off the bat, this cigar here, on top of what the manufacturer has already aged, this cigar has about 2 years on it. So
Okay.
It's been aged on top of being aged. So why don't we go ahead? We already gave it a cut. Why don't we go ahead and light? So once again, this episode is brought to you by TDM Cigars, where legacy is rolled at one cigar at a time. I really do like Rocky stuff. I really like. So one of my favorite cigars that Rocky has made. Obviously, he doesn't make the cigar anymore because it was a special edition. Was the Rocky Patel Summer Grown of 2008. I won a box of that at the New Jersey Cigar Festival, and let me tell you, this was back in 2008, and I smoked that box in a week, and oh my God, it was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, here are a couple things that we're actually going to address. Why do freshly rolled cigars behave the way that they do? And we'll talk about some of their behaviors. what resting really means, how aging transformed the tobacco, and why does premium cigars cost what they do. All right, and then we're gonna get into a couple of the myths about freshly rolled cigars versus aged cigars. So how long do you think the resting the fresh period actually is? How long do you think that actually takes?
I would say probably about a week to 2 weeks.
All right, so it's roughly about a week.
Yeah.
Right, and the cigars are going to act really weird, and you saw that with the fresh cigar that you smoked on our last episode. Again, it's going to have a little bit of a tighter draw, right? It's going to might burn a little wonky, Now, mind you, not every freshly rolled cigar is going to behave the same way, right? But they generally say if you're going to smoke a fresh cigar, you got to smoke it within the first 3 days, right? Especially if I have one of those cigar medics that I can check the internal humidification on it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's above 75%, don't smoke it.
Okay.
Just don't smoke it. It's definitely going to have a tighter draw. For the cigars that I roll, you want it between 62 and 65%. So if it takes about 2 or 3 days to kind of lower itself to that, then that's fine. If you can't get it lower than that, don't even bother with the fresh cigar. Stick it in the humidor or stick it in a dry box for about a week.
Yeah.
That's going to bring it back down. Now, you can go ahead and try and smoke that, but I'm going to tell you, these cigars are still fermenting. All right, so let's talk about what actually happens for freshly rolled cigars. So it's about a week, about 7 days. That's the classification for a fresh rolled cigar. So what actually happens? So the internal moisture is off the charts, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Because again, you don't want crispy leaves when you're rolling, right? Neither do the manufacturers. So what do? They case the majority of the tobacco. They bring it up to a certain amount of humidity. Usually it's between 70 to 75%. Sometimes it's a little bit lower. Some manufacturers want to put it just before crispiness, right? And again, it's going to vary depending on the factory. That wrapper tension is going to still be acclimating, right? So that cigar is swollen, right? Especially when it's freshly rolled. So as that humidity is slowly brought down, the wrapper is going to get a little bit tighter. The binder is also going to be, the compression on the binders is still going to be adjusting, right? We talked about how sometimes it's a little bit hard to draw. So that's also, that binder is going to be fine-tuning itself. Cigar glue. Some places use pectin, some places use Bermacol. That's still not 100% cured yet.
Mm-hmm.
So when you smoke a freshly rolled cigar and that heat hits it and the cigar starts to expand again, that wrapper may inadvertently come off because the glue isn't completely...
I did notice that with mine from the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I lit it, the foot of the...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the wrapper the wrapper is under a certain amount of tension, and it's because it's still wet. So that heat is basically, you're creating steam. So the leaves will continue to expand, right? And you'll get that little bit of a wrapper split at the foot of the cigar while you're lighting it. Again, still fermenting. So you get all those volatile gases that are still inside the cigar, right? You get the little bit of that ammonia flavor and aroma, right? And that's for people who aren't used to smoking fresh cigars, it's kind of a little hard to get past that. Talk about your ligero. That's still gonna be sharp, right? It's I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit, but when you get a finely aged cigar, all the compounds, all the leaves, all the oils have been melded together to make one cohesive flavor, right? Now, I'm not talking about nuances, I'm talking about flavor. And that ligero is just going to be forward, right? You're not going to get the nuances from the viso and, the subtleties from the seco, which are very, very light. Again, we're going to hit it again. It's going to be a tighter draw. You're going to have some uneven burns and maybe, just maybe, a little bitterness, all right? But again, that's going to be completely normal when you talk about a freshly rolled cigars. Are fresh cigars rolled bad?
No,
They're not bad, right?
no, and somebody picking one up that has never had it before, yeah, it's gonna be different from what you're used to because you're not used to it.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's just all the stuff is still settling in.
Okay. It also has to do with what the blend is, right?
That's true.
If you have a cigar that's ligero forward, like La Flor Dominicana, right? Those guys use a lot of ligero, right? They're known for being powerhouses. So let's say you take the La Flor Dominicana triple ligero, right? And you smoke that right off the table. That's gonna smack you in the face, right? Because what does time really do to tobacco, especially when it's already rolled into a cigar? Mellows it out. It brings it down a little bit, right? So, do you know what the factory does?
No.
Time. It's a little bit more of a process, but the biggest part is time.
Yeah.
Time and patience. One of the things that we talked about in the last episode is patience is a virtue, especially when it comes to cigars. Okay? You don't want to rush the process, right? If you talk about any good whiskeys, any good bourbons, any good wines, a good lager, ports,
Mhm.
right? What do they all tell you? Time. Time. Being patient with it. Allow the natural processes to happen, okay? So one of the things that, switching a little bit topics here, I'm a paramedic, he's an advanced EMT. One of the things that I do in my clinical practices is I support the body's natural processes, right? I give you what you need to support your body to do what it naturally does. Fine premium hand roll product right here, same thing. Just support the natural processes, okay? So moving forward, now let's talk about rested. How long do you think rested lasts for?
I think that's like probably 2 weeks to a month or two.
Okay.
Yeah,
Definitely. It's generally between 2 to 4 weeks.
because that's what you've always told me. Like,
Yeah.
hey, take this, but let it sit.
Let it sit for about a month
Yeah.
or two, yeah. So my general rule of thumb is rested. So fresh is between right off the table. I'm sorry, fresh is from right off the table to about 7 days. Rested for me is a minimum of 3 months.
Okay.
That's my practice. That's my standards of practice. That's what I found for me that works the best, especially with my rolls. A minimum of 3 months. Okay. Now, whenever I come up with a test blend, I smoke one 2 days after.
Mm-hmm.
I smoke one a month after, 3 months after, then 5 months after.
And see what the difference.
And I see what, and I write it in my notebook, and I see what the differences are, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that I'm looking for is is the burn even, right? Is that harsh ammonia flavor diminishing? Are the flavors becoming a little bit more complex? Those are the things that I'm actually going to be looking for. So now, 2 to 4 weeks, maybe 2 to 3 months, depending on what you like to do. Now, that's mostly for the home roller or the small batch roller. Now, when we're talking about factories, that's going to be based on your production scale. Okay? Now, we're going to hit a touchy subject. Cuban cigars. Okay? Now, Cuba puts out some pretty decent cigars, all right? Now, they're very limited on their blends because the tobacco can only come from certain places, right? And it's all the same tobacco. But some manufacturers will roll the cigars, send them out fresh. They roll them. Sometimes they'll rest them,
Yeah.
but they're not aged. You know, so when you look at the backyard market, and you're looking for like the people who are selling Cuban cigars on the, I don't want to say black market, but you know, you get people who
Back
find a way,
market.
yeah, the back market, and they're like, oh, it's got 10 years worth of age. Well, here's a couple of things. First of all, you can't verify that.
True.
You can't verify they're real. They're gonna charge you an arm and a leg, okay? Because they all that nastiness, that bitterness, all that stuff is already gone, right? Not to mention the fact that I can go and get a New World cigar, which is anything from Nicaragua, the Dominican Republic, Honduras, Puerto Rico has amazing tobacco. All right, and I'm gonna tell you, that's an island to keep an eye on, because they're gonna. I'm planning on eventually opening up a factory there, because I want to use Puerto Rican tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
You look at a lot of the cigar making countries now. I can grab almost anyone, and they're not. Most of them are not only just as good, but even better than Cuban cigars. Again, my opinion. Your experience may vary, but that's my personal opinion. And I've been smoking cigars for about 25 years. I smoke Cuban cigars. I smoke New World cigars. I make my own cigars. I'm gonna tell you anything from Nick Perdomo, AJ Fernandez, Rocky Patel, Nestor Miranda. I can the list can just keep going on, and I can definitely find a cigar that may not only rival a Cuban cigar, but it's probably even better. So, all right. So now what happens here? The moisture's now equalized, right? Now, what do you think what do you think happens to that wrapper?
In the
In your,
resting?
in your resting phase. What do you think happens to that wrapper?
It's starting to constrict a little bit from all the moisture leaving.
So that actually is happening during the fresh stage.
Okay.
In your resting stage, it's actually relaxing, because
Okay.
now as the humidification is now equalizing inside that cigar,
Mm-hmm.
it's not as tight. It still looks flush and tight against the cigar, but it's not like, oh my god, holding on to its own seams.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's actually starting to relax. The combustion stabilizes, right? Because the humidity levels are again equalizing.
Yeah, they're.
Now,
You'll get more of a cleaner burn
Mm-hmm.
with it now.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
you won't have as more of a. You won't have to do more of a draw, because everything is more relaxed, and everything just will burn a lot better, because,
Mhm.
like you said, the humidification is equalized out, and you're at the perfect.
The humidity, yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Your flavors are gonna start integrating, right? Everything's gonna start, everything will be melding, right? The harshness is gonna start dissipating. We talked about a cleaner burn, a balanced draw, smoother transitions, that kind of a deal. Your cigar actually becomes predictable. You know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a freshly rolled cigar, you have no idea what's going to happen. No clue. Because it's right off the table. You have expectations for it, but unless you've rolled cigars for yourself or have a lot of experience with freshly rolled cigars, they're gonna behave very, very unpredictable.
So, what, in your opinion, what would be the difference between resting and just throwing it in a humidor?
Okay, so there's a couple stages, right? So you have dry boxing, right? Because you wanna acclimate all the tobacco to the same relative humidity, right? Then you have your quote unquote resting.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that I do it is I put it in a humidor at a lower humidity than you would expect. So I started out at around 60%. Right? I dry box between 40 and 50%. And then I stick it in a humidor at about 60%. And every couple of weeks, I bring that relative humidity up just 2 to 5%. Because I want those leaves to soak up that humidity just a little bit. Okay? And once I get to a certain relative humidity, usually between 65 and 70%, I leave it there. And I leave it there for an extended period of time. And then I slowly bring that humidity right back down. So I'm getting the cigar to actually breathe. Okay? So as it expands, it draws in air. And as it shrinks back down, it pushes out all that humidity and the additional ammonia and all the fermenting gases that are still left over. So, you know, when you're talking about resting, you're just letting the cigar rest. You know, when you're taking a steak, right off the grill. I love fire grilled steaks, man. I don't like that pan seared shit. I love it. If it's gonna be pan seared, it's gotta be inside of a cast iron skillet, pan seared at high temperature, and then low and slow in an oven, right? But let's say you're doing it on a grill. What do you gotta do? You gotta let it rest. What does it do? It pulls all the juices back, right? So it makes a nice tender piece of meat. Cigars are the same thing. You're letting it rest. You're letting everything that is all wonky to go back into its natural place and now meld with each other, right? Completing the recipe. All right. So now, how quickly you think this process is in reality? I know we're talking
Years.
about time. It can well, resting is several months, right? Now when we start talking about aging, that's when you start talking about months to years.
Okay.
Right? But can you rush that process? I mean, in theory, you can rush anything.
You could rush anything, but to do it the right way, no.
That's the one point you and I are gonna beat to death.
You can't rush it.
Patience gonna definitely be a virtue, right?
And that's one thing that we did say in the first episode, that like a cigar is not meant to be rushed in any stage. Like it's meant to just take your time.
Mm-hmm.
And it I know a lot of the times for me it just mellows things out for me and makes me slow down. Because then I'm more worried about what's going on with the cigar and making sure that I get it the right way.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. Now comes the fun part. Aging. Now, some cigars will age like a fine wine, and other cigars will age like milk. All right. Now, here's a myth that we're going to debunk right now, and all the cigar aficionados or the cigar nerds out there will probably agree with me. You cannot take a crappy cigar and age it to a good cigar. Man down. You can't take a crappy cigar and age it to a good cigar. You have to have high quality ingredients from the beginning. Right, a cigar it's a good tobacco.
Because you can't take, and I don't want to put it this way, you can't take a gas station cigar and put it with a premium cigar and make it into a premium cigar.
No.
It's still going to be a gas station cigar.
Yeah, you put shit into it, you're gonna get shit out of it.
Yeah.
So now, again, this is gonna continue to expel all the ammonia, all right, especially for an extended period of time. The tannins inside the tobacco are going to soften. The sugar development, right, because chlorophyll, when it's curing, chlorophyll will break down into simple sugars and carbohydrates. The carbohydrates will break down to simple sugars, and it'll actually start to those flavors will start to develop over time. You'll start to get that flavor layering, right? It's like, oh, this cigar has notes of cedar and honey and this and that, whatever. You start to get those layers that build upon itself, and then you start to get those secondary notes, right? It's like, I get cinnamon on the retrohale. Well, would you necessarily get that with a fresh cigar? Not really, because those flavors haven't developed yet.
Yeah.
You know, it's their, and again, not everybody's gonna get flavors, and that's okay. You know, you can just say it's good. You could say it's not good. And when you're first starting out, that's perfectly fine. You know, you don't have to be, it tastes like a bourbon from a 1957 cask. No, it doesn't have to be that detailed.
No.
So, rested is your stabilization period. Your age is your transformation period, where it turns from a good blend to a great blend. Because you're gonna bring out those subtle nuances to the tobacco. So aging doesn't just smooth out the cigar; it changes its personality. Okay. Now let's talk about factory versus boutique versus the home roller.
Does the aged cigar make it superior?
If you have superior leaf, it's going to continue on. Okay?
So if it's superior and you're resting, it's just going to get better in aging.
Again, if you have superior leaf, it's going to start out with the ingredients.
Yeah.
If you got good ingredients,
it's like
time and aging.
Cooking.
Yeah. Okay, I got to ask. You're Italian, right? Is it sauce or gravy?
Sauce.
Okay, good. All right, good. Because I've never...
Gravy is gravy.
Gravy is brown.
Sauce is sauce.
All right, we're going to catch a lot of flack for that. I know it. It's perfectly fine, but, and the reason... Here's why I say this. A good cigar is like a good tomato sauce. It's slow, right? Because,
it takes time.
What's the best tomato? San Marzano, in my opinion. If you're going to make a good tomato sauce, whether it be, like a marinara, a good pasta sauce, whatever. In my opinion, San Marzano.
My opinion, and this is me, I don't want to say the cherry, but it's like cherry tomatoes, but they're small, and you just dice them up, and then you put them in the pot, and mix it around, and then you smush them, pour in a little bit of the paste, mix it around, put a little water in, stir it up.
Do you put sugar? Do you put sugar in your sauce?
Not yet. Then you put it in a blender. So blend it all up.
Right.
And then you put the.
So do you know why people put sugar in their tomato sauce?
Ketchup.
Well, people put sugar in the ketchup. People put sugar in their tomato sauce because it's bitter.
That's because they don't want to make a tomato sauce.
Because they rush it.
Exactly.
So why did I just mention tomatoes? They're a nightshade. They're a cousin of the tobacco plant.
Mm-hmm.
So are potatoes, and so are eggplant, and they all have a bitter component. And what takes that away? Low and slow and time. It's all the same thing, And
my wife always asks, "Hey, why do you always put the sauce on first?" Because it
takes the longest. It's funny because if I want to make a good tomato sauce, I put it in a slow cooker, and I start it the day before, and it cooks 24, maybe 36 hours, and my wife looked at me like I was nuts the first time I did it, and then she's like, "Oh no, I get it. It's because you don't have to add the sugar, right? All that stuff dissipates, right? So, factory, right? So they have bulk aging rooms, right? They have very large aging rooms there. They have their controlled humidity, and their capital is tied up in that particular production, right? So think about it. If let's say you're vertically integrated, right? Where does the capital expenditure start? From the seed, and then the capital expenditure continues to grow as the product grows, right? So from seed to smoke, you're adding more money, And then out of everything, what costs the most?
Probably your storage.
Time. That's actually what costs you the most, because now you have latent capital sitting in a warehouse aging between 3 months to 2 years, right? Some people do 5 years, some people do 10 years. And all that latent capital is just sitting there, right? Hoping that the product is still good, right? That what you've invested all that time and energy and money in is going to recoup itself and then bring you more money so you can invest it into the next batch, and so on and so forth, right? So for boutiques, obviously they're going to be smaller batches, right? From several 100,000. There's some factories that make millions of cigars a year, right? Some boutiques make a couple thousand cigars a year. They're going to have smaller batches, a little bit storage limitations, right? Because again, everything's going to be smaller, and their rest times are going to vary, right? And a lot of boutique makers don't have a lot of capital that they can invest, right? That they could just sit there. So sometimes the resting period may be rushed. If they're perfectionists, they won't rush it, right? And if it's not ready, it won't come out. And I have a lot of respect for that. Now, for the home roller, you got to be patient. When I first started rolling, oh my God, first of all, there were dog rockets. When I first started rolling cigars, they were dog rockets. And I powered through because I was not wasting the money that I spent on that tobacco. I'm going to power through it. I'm going to smoke it. Oh my God, they were horrible.
I remember seeing some of the first ones, and listen, I don't care. They weren't the prettiest looking, but some of them were still pretty good.
Some of them were decent, but some of them were like, oh my God, how do people smoke these? And they were disgusting. You got to be patient, right? And you're going to have to expect a large unaccounted for variability. Well, what do I mean by that? You don't have a stable environment, right? You're a home roller. You're doing it usually for yourself. You don't have a TBB license. You don't have a factory license, right? So there's a lot of the regulations that you're not following because you're just making stuff for yourself. It's like the home canner, right? I like doing canning my own vegetables and all that kind of stuff, right? I don't follow the same procedures that like a big canning factory does, right? I'd like to say my procedures are a little bit more stringent because, I got a small child at home that I really don't want to intoxicate with botulinum toxin, but,
Yeah.
And you're going to have to figure out how to control the humidity. Now, I'm lucky. My cigar lab is a basement, so being underground, it's a lot more humid. We're in the winter time, so we're in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, so during the winter time, I have to introduce a little bit more humidity, but it doesn't take much. During the summertime, I have to dehumidify the area because the leaves are just soaking it up. And the cool part is if I need to have like tobacco for like my filler, I leave it out the night before or 2 nights before down in the basement, and it just soaks up a lot of the ambient humidity, and I don't have to case it as much.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot longer to dry box. I usually bring it up to the second floor to dry boxing, but I don't really have to really worry about that, So again, when you're smoking a premium hand rolled product, and I am going to say that a lot, time is going to be part of that product. Okay? And that's just something that we need to deal with. We need to love, because time equals a good product, especially if you have a good ingredient. So here's a question for you, and we talked about this earlier, and I want you to reiterate it. Are fresh cigars bad?
No.
Sometimes it can be pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Are aged cigars always better?
If it's done right.
Again, when I first started rolling, and I let some of those cigars age for like 2 years. I smoked one while digging myself out. I found one in the bottom of my humidor, one of the very first hand rolls that I made, and I took it outside and I was smoking it while I was digging my truck out from this recent storm.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was disgusting. It was horrible. Age does. I'm gonna tell you, age doesn't fix the product. I told you that earlier. Good, good ingredients with good technique, good resting, good aging will lead to a good product. But again, I was new to it, and I wasn't really doing much of anything with it. I was rolling at like 2, 3 in the morning. I had a newborn upstairs. I couldn't sleep. Oh yeah, man. So, do you ever want to learn how to roll your own?
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll get there. I'm more focused right now on learning about the cigars. I'll get to the rolling portion eventually.
It's funny that I see them like children. They're my babies. And it's like when I look at my son, I want to take the best parts of me and give it to him and just throw away all the bad parts of me.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that's not always going to happen, but if you treat, when you're making your own cigars and all that kind of stuff, or even when you're purchasing cigars from a major manufacturer, treat them like you would your kids, with love, with patience, with a little TLC, and they'll treat you great. They won't put you in a nursing home. You hope not, right?
I hope Jason don't want to.
Dude, that kid loves you.
Oh, he does.
That kid's obsessed with you. My son's obsessed with me too. Best part of the best part of
off.
Oh my god, it pisses my wife off too. It's like
it's funny because like sometimes it's mommy, and then she'll always say once we get on the firehouse, it's I'm going with dad to the fire trucks. Fuck you, mom.
No, if I'm home, my son wants nothing to do with his mother. And I keep telling him, bro, mommy brought you into this world, man. Like, mommy should be your hero. Not dad.
Mm-hmm.
Mom is the reason why you're here. I mean, don't get me wrong, I had something to do with it, but, like, she manufactured the child. So...
I see a video. For problems with the product, refer back to manufacturer.
Oh my god, I say that to my mother-in-law all the time, and I'll pull out my marriage certificate and I'll be like, the warranty's void here. What's happening? I'm gonna send it back to the manufacturer. She goes, we don't do refunds. I gotta stop, man. I gotta tell you, my wife puts up with so much crap.
Oh yeah.
Oh, my wife puts up with so much crap, dude.
I
freaking love her. She's one of the best. So, well, a couple things, just closing out here. A couple things to expect when you start rolling your own. If you roll your own, you gotta expect some instability early. All right, it's a lot of practice. You have to make your little burritos and see what each leaf does. Write everything down. You gotta give them time, right? If you buy premium cigars, you have to understand what you're paying for, right? You have to understand what you should be expecting. It's a good high quality leaf, good time. Packaging, yes, it does a lot to do because a lot of us buy with our eyes. I don't. I prefer unbanded cigars, to be brutally honest with you. But when you take a look at some of these gorgeous, oh my god, these packages are just like, they're works of art, and I hate throwing the box away. They just get in the way. Understand that when you are aging a cigar, you're not preserving it. You're changing its personality, right? You're changing what the cigar is actually doing for you. So when you're picking out a cigar, you need to ask yourself, what do I want? What experience do I want? What do I want this cigar to do? And you got to be careful. You can age out a cigar. If you take a look at the lighter the cigar, the less aging it'll tolerate. The darker, heavier, stronger cigars, those will tolerate aging. Mm-hmm. Usually if I have anything that's a Connecticut that's on the mild to medium side, I'll age it maybe a year. Maybe. Or I'll just smoke it right out of the box. If it's a medium to full, I could do about 2 years. If it's a strong cigar, sometimes I'll age it between 2 to 5 years. If it lasts that long. If it's a good cigar, it ain't lasted that long.
No.
I'm gonna tell you that right now. It ain't lasting that long. So,
And that's how you know by like just like seeing somebody if they're going through a box pretty fairly quickly, that's a good cigar to them
oh yeah.
because they don't want to put it down.
Yeah. Do you have any preferences on the type of cigar you smoke?
You know this. I can never keep a box of leather rose in my house.
Oh my god, bro. Listen.
I can never.
Listen, I'm gonna give you a plug. One of the best things I ever did was listen to you. So listen, I do a lot of live events, right? And one of the things that I swore to myself was that I'm not a flavored cigar guy. I'm sorry. I know that there's a cigar for everybody, but I'm not a flavored cigar guy. Maybe a Tobacco Especial or a Java, not a Java Mint. I don't like the minty cigars. But I said, no, I'm not carrying that shit. No, not carrying it. And then you, dude, why? Why aren't you carrying it? Well, because of this. I needed to shut the hell up. And I needed to start thinking like a consumer, not an owner. And took you, 20 minutes to convince you and Attilio. Oh, and Alan. The three of you ganged up on me.
We did that one day.
Oh my god, I got berated for like 20, 30 minutes by my top 3 guys. And it was just like, and then the line that sealed it all was, you're stupid if you don't carry at least a little something like an acid or leather rose or something. And what happened the first event I carried? Oh,
You went out.
I sold out. And I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe I did this. But you know what? Like I said it before, there's a cigar for everybody. You know, and
it, I'll say the Deadwood line is hitting hard right now.
listen, Fat Bottom Betty's, Leather Rose, the new Dominicana that just came out. Those are selling like hotcakes. A lot of people, and you know what?
You can't keep them in the store.
They're a gateway cigar. You know, for those people that you're trying to bring into the cigar culture.
Oh yeah.
You bring them into those types of cigars, and again, they're already rested, they're already aged, they're ready to go right out of the box. They're not strong. They have some of them. So now again, there's two things you need to understand. There's a difference between infused and flavored. Right? Because flavored means the wrapper is flavored, usually like a sweet tip or something.
Yeah.
Infused means that the tobacco itself was infused with another outside flavor.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's another thing to kind of keep in mind. Here's something again. Now, for those of you at home who are planning on aging your cigars, if you talk to the holier-than-thou cigar nerd, they'll tell you don't ever age Nicaraguan cigars with Dominican cigars, with this cigars, whatever. That's BS. That's crap.
It's a myth.
Personally, in my humidor, all the cigars are with like cigars. So like if I have a specific brand, that's a shelf and all that kind of stuff. But again, I have very large humidors. Here's something that I can tell you that you should never do. Flavored or infused cigars do not get stored or aged with the rest of the cigars. There's a big thing called cross-contamination. Those other cigars will start tasting like each other. All right, which is one of the reasons why I don't take the cellophane off of my cigars if they come with cellophane.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
I don't do it either.
Yeah. So if you're gonna buy something that is flavored or infused, get yourself a separate humidor and understand that humidor is now strictly for flavored and infused cigars, because you're never gonna get that smell and that taste out of it.
That's what I do. Like,
Yeah.
all the Deadwoods are. They sit in a Deadwood humidor.
Nice.
That's how I know. Pop this one open. It's a flavored cigar.
Mm-hmm. So, any final thoughts? What do you think? What are you thinking about this Rocky Patel Emerald?
This is pretty good.
What would you pair with this? Don't think too hard. Just start a fire.
You see it coming out of this.
I see the smoke. See, like I'm a big coffee guy.
I was gonna say a nice, like, legit hot cocoa.
Really?
That's
Now,
I'm thinking about
an
it.
American hot cocoa or a Mexican hot cocoa? Because they're very. Have you ever had a Mexican hot cocoa? I gotta get you one. I gotta make you one. It's.
so. And I'm saying, like, how to explain it? Like, not the packet.
Not a Swiss Miss.
No, not the packet.
No, you're talking about the bar chocolate that you shave little by little into the hot milk.
No, so the best one that I've had was it came like they ground up a bar, like they put it in like a
That's a Mexican hot chocolate.
they grounded it
Yeah,
up.
that's a Mexican hot chocolate.
Okay, then I had
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
They grounded it up and it came in a jar.
It's a black bar. Yeah, that's a Mexican hot chocolate.
And you put it in.
It's not sweet. It's a little bit like on the dark and heavy bitter side. That's a Mexican hot chocolate.
dark
Yeah.
chocolate.
Yeah.
That's my weakness.
Yeah, like that 70% cacao and up. Yeah.
So, I've done it myself. Like I put it in a blender, grinder, whatever you want to call it, and did that. Put it in, and did warmed milk, not water and warmed milk, and you take a frother, and you mix it with that.
Yeah. So for me, this will go like again. I'm a coffee guy, right? So I like a nice espresso or a cortado, right? Sometimes I just do like a regular café con leche, right? Coffee regular. In English should be called coffee regular. Light and sweet, like that kind of a deal. That's something that I'd probably pair this with. So, all right, man, you want to wrap it up? Again, thanks everybody. Thank you for joining the Cigar Table. Again, sponsored by TDM Cigars, where legacy is rolled one cigar at a time. Once again, I'm Alex. This is Jesse. Thank you for joining us. Stay smoky.